The presenter of our main talk today is a member of the Houston Oasis community. He is an aerospace engineer, right? And he hails from the great province of Quebec. So he is not American, which is kind of cool. So anyway, he's going to talk to us today about morality, reclaiming the narrative, and I've been looking forward to this talk. Let's welcome Francois Choquette.
My name is Francois Choquette, you pronounce it correctly. I'm sorry, yes. Yeah. I've been a member about a year, been in Houston about a year, I joined right away pretty much. And I'd like to first set the expectations for this talk, because that's really not my expertise. So I announced that to several of my friends. I said, well, you know, this week I'll be doing a talk on morality, and I got unanimous laughter. So that's should set the expectations. All right. I think that in general, we've lost this narrative of, we've lost the true meaning of what's moral and immoral. And I would like to see, well, I really think the religionists own it now. And you'll see examples even in dictionaries that I believe are incorrect. And I just, just a bit of pet peeve of mine, and I'd like to hopefully do something about it with you guys, of course. Now, it's kind of like an Orwellian newspeak, where if you read 1984, you'll see how these words have been redefined, and I think morality is currently redefined now. I have other examples that I'll skip over, but I just think it's kind of sad to see an important word like that being redefined. Religion is certainly not a good place to gain your morality from. Look at all the examples, the Crusades, there was like 12 of them, Inquisitions, killing of witches, Christian colonies all over the world, exterminating natives, the European religious wars, all these different wars that have been going on for millennia, and then conflicts in all kinds of other places in the world. So let's, we got to remind ourselves of that. And those were all caused by religion. There's also, slavery, civil rights, women's rights. These are a clear example of immoral acts, as far as I'm concerned. And religion somehow, people will assume you've got to get your morality from somewhere, and the reflex answer is well, you've got to get it from your religion. Well, it's not, And then, again, more examples. It's rarely democratic. We value a democratic society here, but it's always authoritarian. There's dogmatism, tribalism, us against them, and a lot of moralizing with an obsession on sex lives and things like that. There's even specific examples in the Bible here. Michael Shermer made the statement that the Bible is one of the most immoral works of all literature. People have to be reminded of that. You can read some of these quotes here. And, Jesus to his mom, send her away, you're my family now. I guess talking to the apostles. This is just awful stuff. So we need to remind people that religion has been very immoral in the past, and it still is. And it's not helping to, peace and morality in society. It's an ineffective way to improve society. The society success is actually negatively correlated with religion, and I have some interesting charts here. These letters here correspond to the different countries, and then you can see here, based on the popularity of religion, so the more religious is on the right, the more more religious on the left, secular is on the right, on each of these charts, and it's a description of successful societies. So you can see that up on top there, the N is probably Norway, yeah? And then you can see pretty much a general trend on suicide, incarcerated people. The angles, the trend is not that clear, but you can still see that it's either random, or it has no effect, or there's a trend. The more religious people are, the worse the society gets. And on this chart, it's even more obvious here. So I hope you can all see this. So let me spend a bit more time on this one here. The y-axis is dysfunctional and healthy, and this is belief in God, all right? So you'll have Norway again on top as very healthy, but very low belief in God. Japan has even lower belief in God. The United States, of course, is, depends how you define successful, so some people might have disagreement, but in general you see a really good slope there. How much people attend a religious service, and you can really see a good trend there. And the United States is really standing out in all of these charts. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of pretty fascinating to see this. So we're successful, I guess, from an economic standpoint, but not necessarily from social health. So we need a new perspective on morality. So even if you look in the dictionary, pull up the dictionary, I got this on dictionary.com, typically the first line will be conformity or degree of conformity to conventional standards of moral conduct. Well, yeah, maybe that's okay. But there are some societies, and I just confirmed with one of the persons here that women can't shop for clothes, they can't buy fashion magazines, they can't drive, they have to be chaperoned all the time. And that society, that's their standards, and that's supposed to be okay. Now, that's not a good definition. I think there should be a much more objective criteria as to what's moral and what's immoral. Okay? Generally, you'll often see as a second definition virtue in sexual matters, and it's always related to lusciousness, and it shouldn't really have a whole lot to do with morality, in my opinion. There's things that are much more important than that. So, plenty of examples in the Bible. The Bible, I think, has influenced our definition of morality. So, under the current definition, the following is immoral: homosexuals, transsexuals, dress, debauchery, drinking, drugs, polygamy, polyamory, and of course in many countries, atheism, blasphemy, and even dancing. It's considered immoral. Why would that be? So we got to work on this. We got to change the narrative. That's unacceptable. That any of these things would really be immoral. It's mostly your own business. So they have caused us, religion have caused us to accept a wrong definition. So it can be redefined much more simply as a measure of suffering. And if you just keep it at that and think of all that can happen, what can cause people to suffer, you'll see that all these acts are immoral. So I'll show you some examples here. Physical pain, mental anguish, torture, enslavement, personal issues, group, social issues, discrimination, financial crimes from the insurance companies, animal suffering, and then if you look at it in those terms, even the dictionary definition is completely wrong, right? So I just think that we, as a group, got to try to see if we can change that. Change the narrative. Talk about it a lot. What is immoral? What's not immoral? You might have different opinions on each of the points, but I think in general, people who cause such things are immoral, and that's not talked about. It should be really obvious. So you might want to suggest what your ideas are as to what you think is immoral that we don't talk about. Do you guys have any? Yes, go ahead.
Well, how about warmongering or war profiteering?
Sure.
That should be like,
I'd say that right up on top. You're right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Proselytization.
Proselytization. It could be. I'm proselytizing right now.
Right, proselytization of religious beliefs of someone else.
Right.
Like, the idea that if you are not a Christian, you are a sinner, and
Right.
you're going to hell, and you need to be a Christian in
Sure.
order to go to hell. I think telling somebody that is immoral.
Right.
Concept
Oh,
of
I
original
agree with
sin,
you.
which is
Right. I agree with you, because I think teaching religion to children, especially that way, is an immoral act. I definitely agree. You know.
I hear her say
Yes.
it's judgment.
Yes. Okay. All right, so just, you know, for the next few days, please, yeah.
I like to say that my secular ethics can kick your scriptural morality's ass any day. And that really, when it comes to equality, it's about designing society without knowing what role you will play in that society.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
In response to the
Yeah.
gentleman over there about judgment, I think Anne Rand said something very clear about that. She said that the moral is to judge, not least to be judged. She said this is incorrect. She said judge and be prepared to be judged. Because you can't go through life without judging, and when you make judgments, you can also will be judged by others.
Right.
So
Well,
judgment
religion
is not
is-
a good. It's not a good moral. It is actually you have to judge. You
Yeah,
have to judge.
religion is often, will respond by saying, no, I can't be judged, I'm a Christian, I'm an honest
Yeah,
person,
both.
you know. And, yeah, all right.
Only God can judge me.
So anyway, I believe that all of us here, whatever we can do, is just take charge and change the narrative, you know, talk about it in different ways. So how can we change it? Do you have any opinions on how we could go about to do that? I'll have several examples after, but I thought maybe you might have some ways in how you could do that.
I always make it a point to define terms at the beginning of a discussion, interrupt the dialogue if they misattribute morality
Right.
with religion.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, that's important. Yeah. So that's on the one-to-one discussion. Yes, go ahead, please.
Have a discussion with people, like, I'm a teacher, and I've seen teachers have religious icons up in their classroom. And they'll say, what's my religious right? And I said, no, you're the state right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen the light bulb go off, and they've taken them down
Right.
without a major conflict. Just pointing out to these teachers that they are the state when they're teaching, and
Sure.
they should be very careful not to give the impression that if you don't believe what I believe, you're not part of the in-group. And sometimes they don't realize they're doing that, but when you approach them as a friend, they'll change their attitude, and it helps the kids in the classroom.
About a month ago, the humanists of Houston went to a little town in Texas called China, Texas, and they had a huge problem in the schools there. And Dan Barker, David Furlow, and other people went there to speak and hopefully straighten things out. But there was a lot of reticence. They were kind of shocked and upset that secular people were explaining how the law works. But it needs to go on. So here's some suggestions. The first one, Socratic Method. David Lee Durr, a couple of weeks ago, explained how to talk to people about religion, and I think you could use that also about morality. Basically asking a lot of questions, letting people talk, but making them think with the proper questions. And it's very, very effective. I wish I could do that. It's difficult, and I'm trying to work on that. YouTube videos. I mean, you know, when you got millions of views on with Richard Dawkins videos, this is very effective. And I haven't seen one really on morality like that. So maybe we, you know, if there's any interest here, we could do something like that. Go
That
ahead.
there is some, and Dawkins did address morality in terms of
Right. I'll show you a slide at the end. He had exactly that talk, morality on religion, and it got taken down. I kept that. I can't see it anymore. I don't know why it got taken down, but it would have been a good video. So I'll have to figure out why that got taken down. Go ahead.
Regarding Dawkins, I love Dawkins. I've read several of his books, and I highly recommend them. However, I'm not sure that Dawkins is the best example of
Yes.
trying to.
Right, yeah, and I'll have another slide that will,
Neil deGrasse Tyson
Sure.
would be a better.
correct,
You know,
correct, yes. I love Peter Boghossian and his approach. So that's, a new method, and it's very effective. Lectures, we need to influence politicians. If you look at all the Republicans right now, they are just, and they don't seem to realize that there's at least 20% of nuns out there. They're just as an influential group of voters, plus, 80% don't cares, so they might want to change their narrative on that. Of course, billboards, bumper stickers, Wikipedia editing, public speaking. I think these are all positive ways to do this. Do you maybe have any other ways that you can recommend?
Music.
Sure, yeah, good point, yeah, very good, yes. A good song can hit millions of minds. Go ahead.
Skits. I think we need to actually write some skits and perform them.
Sure. So some of the Monty Python skits in Life of Brian had a big effect on people. You're right. Comedy in general. George Carlin had a big effect.
Just be a good example. Be
Right.
a vocal atheist that volunteers, that votes, that gives.
Right. Sure.
Like, just change the narrative that way.
Yeah. That's why my friends were laughing when I started telling them. All right. Now, here's some negative suggestions, and this is what you were going to bring up. Dawkins kind of does a lot of that, but I am personally not sure. I still think this is effective, never on a one-to-one basis, but in a large audience when there's only one speaker and not too many retorts, or on the video and stuff. It's negative advertising, for example, that drives politics. That's what wins elections, So who knows? I just bring it up there because I think maybe there's a way to do this that will have effect, but I'd rather see much more positive methods. So in general, just stand up for yourselves, explain morality. I also would say don't waste time defending the legal system and science. I think it's fine. We've been on the defensive too much when in respect to that. Go ahead and define morality and tell them what it is. Don't defend what doesn't need to be defended, and oppose through immoral acts, and it could be all sorts of things. Oppose religious texts because of their immorality. Oppose nonsense whenever seen. The last quote you might disagree with, but that's what the only thing L. Ron Hubbard said that seemed to have made sense. Attack, never defend. So this is not the type of group that would do that, but he's been very effective.
Sounds like Patton.
And actually, because he did not get any opposition in the 50s, now we're stuck with Scientology, and they got a $1.3 billion in the bank, and this is the actual numbers, and they'll sue anyone that criticizes him. That's because he was not opposed at the start. Same for Joseph Smith was not opposed in the 1830s. Well, he was, but not enough, So, and he did get some, but he did succeed eventually. He died, but I mean the group succeeded. So anyway, that's questions, comments. Go ahead.
I'd say that the attack, all this
Right.
attack, struck me that fits in with what Mike was saying the other week about Paul and his approach.
Right.
Another way that a religion took hold.
You're right. He attacked all his opponents, and he was very effective. It's sad, but unfortunately it works. So, and these are some of the references I used. I'm a big fan of Michael Shermer, Sam Harris, and those are other references. Now, if you'll look at a document like the Ethical Project and see this on the web, there's so much good information about ethics and morality. And why would you spend time reading any religious book when you have good information like that? We need to get these types of books more popular. So, anyway, that's my little presentation here. I hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead. Yeah.
Which of those references did your charts come from?
A lot from Michael Shermer. Well, not the charts. I got some ideas from the Moral Landscape, from Sam Harris and Moral Arc, two very good books, I think.
So your charts,
Oh, I made them myself,
you're gonna
Yeah.
post them online?
if you want. I mean, they're,
You can post them in the private
yeah,
group.
sure, yeah, it's nothing, you know.
Yeah, I'd like to, I'd
Okay.
like to.
Go viral.
Okay, all right.
Go viral.
But actually, the only useful one is this, because, you know, a lot of knowledge comes from these references. But you're welcome to have it, Cheryl. Post it. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.